Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question. Have you ever felt broken? Have you ever looked in the mirror and wondered how you got to this point? Life has a way of knocking us down. Pain, failure, disappointment. Sometimes it feels like the weight of the world is pressing down on us, making it impossible to stand. But I'm here to tell you something. You don't have to stay down. You see, when life breaks you, when people betray you, when you lose hope, God is still with you. The world may tell you that you are too far gone, that you're too broken to be fixed, but God says otherwise. He specializes in restoration, in taking what's shattered and making it whole again. But here's the thing, you have to rebuild yourself with His strength, not your own. There's a process to rebuilding. It's not instant and it's not easy. But when you trust in God, when you lean on His wisdom instead of your understanding, when you allow His strength to carry you, that's when transformation happens. That's when you rise from the ashes stronger than ever before. Tonight, I want to give you 7 key principles to rebuilding yourself with God's strength. Not your strength, not the world's strength, but the kind of strength that can't be shaken, that can't be taken away. Are you ready? Recognizing that you are not alone. Life has a way of making us feel isolated. When struggles hit, when pain becomes unbearable, it's easy to believe that we're fighting this battle alone. The enemy wants you to believe that lie. He wants you to think that no one sees your pain, no one cares, and that even God Himself has turned His back on you. But let me tell you something. God is always with you, even in the darkest moments, even when you can't feel Him. He is right there, closer than you think. He promised, "I will never leave you nor forsake you." And when God makes a promise, He keeps it. Think about the storms you've survived. There were times you thought you wouldn't make it, yet here you are. That wasn't by accident. That wasn't luck. That was God holding you up, carrying you when you couldn't walk on your own. And if He did it before, He will do it again. The presence of hardship is not the absence of God. In fact, sometimes God allows the struggle to reveal Himself to you in a deeper way. The fire you are walking through is not meant to destroy you, it is meant to refine you. You see, the enemy isolates before he attacks. If he can make you feel alone, if he can make you feel like you have no one, then he can break you. But the moment you realize that God is by your side, that you are never truly alone, that's when fear loses its grip. That's when hopelessness fades. When you recognize that you have the Creator of the universe walking with you. Suddenly, the battle doesn't seem so impossible, but it's not just God who is with you. He also sends people into your life to stand beside you. You are not meant to fight alone. Sometimes God places the right people in your path to lift you up when you're weak, to encourage you when you're weary. Do not push them away. Do not let pride keep you from accepting help. God works through people just as much as He works through miracles. So the next time you feel alone, remember this: you are never truly by yourself. God is with you, guiding you, protecting you, strengthening you. The pain you are experiencing may feel unbearable, but you don't have to bear it alone. Lift your eyes, open your heart, let Him in. And when you do, you will feel His strength surrounding you, reminding you that you were never alone to begin with. Developing unshakable faith through trials. Faith is easy when everything is going well. It's easy to trust God when doors are opening, when prayers are being answered, when life is smooth. But what happens when the storm comes? What happens when everything falls apart? That is the true test of faith, not how you worship when things are good, but how you stand when everything is against you. Trials are not meant to destroy your faith, they are meant to strengthen it. Every great man or woman of faith has been through a season of testing. Abraham had to wait for his promise. Joseph was betrayed and imprisoned before he saw his dream fulfilled. Even Jesus himself was tested in the wilderness. If you are going through a storm right now, it does not mean God has abandoned you. It means He is preparing you. It means He is taking you from your sin. Faith is not about what you see, it's about what you know. You may not see the answer, but you know that God is working. You may not see the way out, but you know that He is making a way. That is faith, trusting in God's plan, even when you don't understand it. And when you develop that kind of faith, a faith that is not based on circumstances, nothing can shake you. God never promised that life would be easy, but He did promise that He would be with us. And if He is with you, then no weapon formed against you will prosper. The storm may rage, the wind may blow, but your faith will keep you standing. You are not built on sand. You are built on the rock. But faith requires action. It requires persistence. It requires prayer. You can't just say you have faith. You have to live it. You have to walk in it. You have to hold on to God's promises even when everything in you wants to give up, because in the end, the trial will pass, but your faith will remain. And that faith will be stronger than ever before. So don't be afraid of the trial. Don't run from the storm. Stand firm, knowing that God is using this to build you, to shape you, to prepare you for greater things. The test is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of your testimony, embracing God's plan over your own. One of the hardest things for us to do is to let go of control. We like to plan our lives, set our goals, map out our future. And when things don't go according to our plan, we panic, we get frustrated, we question God. Lord, why is this happening? This isn't how I planned it. But let me tell you something. Your plan is nothing compared to God's plan. His ways are higher. His thoughts are greater. And if you truly want to rebuild yourself, you have to be willing to let go of your plan and embrace His. Look back on your life. Think about the moments when things didn't go your way. At the time, it felt like rejection. It felt like failure. But now, looking back, you can see that God was redirecting you. That job you didn't get, that relationship that didn't work out, that door that closed, it wasn't rejection, it was protection. God was saving you from something that wasn't meant for you. And if you had gotten what you wanted, you would have missed what He had for you. That's why faith is so important. Faith means trusting that even when things don't make sense, God is still in control. It means believing that He knows what He's doing even when you don't understand. Too many of us waste time fighting against God, trying to force doors open that He has already closed. We cry over what we lost, not realizing that what's ahead is so much greater. If you're going to rebuild, you have to stop trying to control everything and start surrendering to His will. Jesus Himself showed us what it means to trust God's plan. In the Garden of Gethsemane, He prayed, "Not my will, but yours be done." That is the level of surrender we must have. It's not about what we want, it's about what God knows is best. And when we stop chasing our own way and start walking in His, that's when we find real peace. That's when we stop striving and start trusting. But let me warn you, God's plan won't always be easy. It may take you through seasons of waiting. It may require sacrifice. It may not look like what you expected, but one thing is certain: His plan is always good. His plan will never lead you to destruction. His plan will never leave you empty. When you align yourself with His will, you will walk in purpose, in favor, in strength. So stop fighting, stop resisting, let go of your plan and embrace His. And watch how He takes you to places you never imagined, blesses you in ways you never expected, and uses you for something greater than yourself, because when you walk in His plan, you don't just survive, you thrive. The power of prayer and patience. We live in a world that wants everything now: instant gratification, quick success, immediate results. But God doesn't work on our timeline. He works on His own. And one of the greatest lessons you will ever learn in life is that His timing is perfect. If you're going to rebuild yourself, if you're going to walk in His strength, then you must learn two things: how to pray and how to wait. Prayer is your direct connection to God. It is not just something you do when you're in trouble. It is something you should do daily. Prayer is not about getting God to do what you want. It is about aligning your heart with His will. Too often we treat prayer like a wish list. Lord, give me this. Lord, fix that. But true prayer is about surrender. It's about saying, God, shape me, mold me, teach me, use me. When you start praying like that, your whole life will change. But prayer alone is not enough. You must also learn patience. Because after you pray, there will be a waiting season. And that's where most people give up. They pray, but when they don't see results immediately, they stop believing. But let me tell you something, God is not ignoring you. He is preparing you. The waiting season is where He develops you, strengthens you, and makes sure you're ready for what you've been praying for. Look at the people in the Bible. None of them walked straight into their destiny. Joseph waited years in prison before he became a ruler. David was anointed as king but had to wait before he took the throne. Even Jesus had to go through years of preparation before stepping into His calling. If God makes you wait, it's because He is building something greater in you. Don't rush the process. Patience is proof of faith. It's easy to trust God when things happen quickly, but real faith is trusting Him even in the waiting. Because you know that what He has for you is worth it. You know that His plan is greater than your timeline. You know that when the time is right, nothing and no one can stop what He has for you. So keep praying, keep believing, keep waiting. God is not finished with you yet. He is preparing you for something greater than you can imagine. And when the time comes, when He opens that door, you will understand why the wait was necessary. Surrounding yourself with the right people. If you want to rebuild yourself, you need to take a good look at the people around you, because who you surround yourself with will either lift you up or tear you down. You cannot walk in God's strength while keeping company with people who drain your spirit. Some of us are struggling not because of the enemy, but because of the people we refuse to let go of. Look at your circle. Are they pushing you closer to God or pulling you away? Are they encouraging you or are they feeding your doubts? Sometimes the reason we can't grow is because we're too busy holding on to relationships that are not meant for us. God cannot elevate you if you're tied to people who are keeping you down. Jesus had 12 disciples, but even within that group, He had an inner circle, Peter, James, and John. Not everyone could go where he was going. And the same is true for you. Some people are only meant to be in your life for a season. If God removes someone, trust that he knows what he's doing. But surrounding yourself with the right people isn't just about removing the wrong ones. It's about finding the right ones. Find people who challenge you, who inspire you, who hold you accountable. Find people who will pray for you, not just party with you. Find people who will speak life into you when you feel weak. You don't have to do this alone. God places the right people in your path for a reason. Be wise about who you allow in your life, because the people around you will either push you toward your destiny or pull you away from it. Choose wisely, walking in your purpose with boldness. Once you have been rebuilt, once you have surrendered to God's plan, once you have strengthened your faith, it's time to walk in your purpose. You were not put on this earth to just exist. You were not created to just survive. God made you for a reason, for a calling, for something greater than yourself. And now it's time to step into it. Walking in your purpose requires boldness. It requires faith. It requires courage. The enemy will try to make you doubt yourself. He will whisper, "You're not good enough. You're not qualified." But let me tell you something. If God called you, then you are ready. If he chose you, then nothing can stop you. Too many people never step into their purpose because they are waiting to feel ready. But God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. If he has placed something inside of you, then you must walk in it with boldness. Your purpose is bigger than you. It is not just about your success. It's about the lives you are meant to impact. When you walk in God's strength, when you step out in faith, he will use you in ways you never imagined. So don't hold back. Don't shrink in fear. Stand tall, walk boldly, and trust that the same God who rebuilt you will sustain you every step of the way. Ladies and gentlemen, if there's one thing you take from this message tonight, let it be this. You don't have to stay broken. You don't have to live in fear and doubt and regret. The pain you've been through, the struggles you've endured, the battles you've fought, they do not define you. God does. And he is not finished with you yet. Rebuilding yourself with God's strength is not a one-time event. It is a daily choice. A choice to trust when you don't understand. A choice to surrender when you feel like holding on. A choice to walk in faith when fear is screaming in your ear. And if you make that choice every day, if you keep pressing forward, if you refuse to quit, then I promise you, God will take you places you never dreamed of. You may feel weak right now, but his strength is made perfect in your weakness. You may feel lost, but he is the way. You may feel broken, but he is the healer. Whatever you need, he is. And when you put your life in his hands, he will take every broken piece and turn it into something beautiful. So don't be afraid to rebuild. Don't be afraid to start over. Don't be afraid to trust again, to believe again, to hope again. The same God who parted the Red Sea, who shut the mouths of lions, who raised the dead, is the same God who is working in your life right now. And if he did it for them, He will do it for you. Now is your time. Stand up, shake off the past, let go of the weight, walk in the strength that God has given you. Because you were not made to stay down. You were made to rise. You were made to overcome. You were made to walk in victory. So go forward, go in faith, go in boldness, and let God's strength carry you into the life He has called you to live. The best is yet to come. Amen.